MAGA group creating a list of federal workers resistant to Trump. What's this about? Well, according to the Associated Press, the Heritage Foundation is paying another right-wing organization to spy on federal workers, and compile a list of those who would be disloyal to Trump if he retakes the presidency this year. So maybe we are a monarch, a dictatorship, I guess, because monarchs these days, a lot of them are in name only, but this sounds like a dictatorship. You must pledge loyalty to the head of the state. Wow.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Tom Jones and his American Accountability Foundation are digging into the background, social media posts, and commentary of key high-ranking government employees, starting with the Department of Homeland Security. With a $100,000 grant from the Heritage Foundation, the goal is to post 100 names of government workers to a website this summer to show potential new administration who might be standing in the way of a second-term Trump agenda and ripe for scrutiny, reclassifications, reassignments, or firings. We need to understand who these people are and what they do, said Jones, former Capitol Hill aide to Republican senators. Associated Press with the reporting here. The concept of compiling and publicizing a list of government employees shows the lengths Trump's allies are willing to go to ensure nothing or no one will block his plans in a potential second term. Jones's Project Sovereignty 2025 comes as Heritage's Project 2025 lays the groundwork, policies, proposals, personnel, ready for a possible new White House. Federal government employs about 2.2 million people, including those in the Washington, D.C. area, workers who the unions say many Americans know as friends or neighbors in communities across the country. About 4,000 positions in the government are considered political appointees who routinely change from one presidential administration to the next. But most, they are career professionals, landscapers, veterans, administration, cemeteries, others economists at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. With 6 researchers, Jones's team operates remotely across the country, poring over the information about federal workers within Homeland Security, State Department, and other agencies that deal with immigration and border issues. Their focus is on the highest ranks of the civil servants, GS-13, GS-14, and GS-15 employees, and those in senior executive positions who could put up roadblocks to Trump's plans for tighter borders and more deportations. So the public list-making conjures for some, the era of Joseph McCarthy. Well, that was a dark chapter in American history. The senator who conducted grueling hearings into suspected communist sympathizers during the Cold War. The hearings were orchestrated by top staffer Roy Cohn, who became a confidant of, drumroll please, a younger Donald Trump. Devilish back then. Jacqueline Simon, policy director at the American Federation of Government Employees, said the language being used, the Heritage Foundation's announcement, praised the group for ferreting out anti-American bad actors is shocking. Civil servants are often ex-military personnel, are required to take an oath to the Constitution to work for the federal government, not a loyalty test to a president, she and others said. Federal civil service has longstanding merit protections in place that are designed to restrict hirings and firings based on political motivation. Hard-won reform that dates back to the 19th century efforts to defeat the old corrupt practice of presidents rewarding friends and special interests with federal appointments. Toward the end of his term, Trump tried to gut these protections by reclassifying large swaths of federal employees as Schedule F, allowing them to be dismissed at will. Raw story with that nugget. President Joe Biden rolled back this change as soon as he took office. and has implemented other changes designed to protect federal workers, but it features prominently as part of the Project 2025 strategy. This is despicable but expected, in my view, Mayor. As I began chronicling the details on this one, sir, I couldn't help but think of communist China. We've got to look into people who's on social media, who could be criticizing the dictator, the head of state. It's as un-American as it comes. This is McCarthyism, not, we might be leading. It is McCarthyism. I say we're there, Mayor. What say you?
I'll say we're there with a different level of seriousness. McCarthy was one senator. There were still 99 more that could put the Rams on. Also, there was also the other people in the Congress, the second house, the House of Representatives. The problem with presidents showing up in this manner, or people who support this president, we know that from this first presidency, people told us the last thing Trump believed is the last thing people told him, close to him before he spoke. So getting a list of people's names together sounds very scary to me, because Trump is likely to call those names out. His followers are likely to threaten people as they do, as soon as they find out their name or believe anything that they hear that is anti-Trump. There's nothing less American than talking about those who serve and make this country run well. The way we have demonized federal workers, unbelievable to me, but not, as you said, not surprising, especially when you look at how Black people are overrepresented in the federal government. So none of these tactics are by mistake. We know when they say they want to downsize severely the federal government, they're talking about putting Black and brown people out of jobs. Don't even mistake it. Right? These people get to call themselves the most patriotic people, but Black men like me are the most likely to join, percentage-wise, the military, yet we're never considered the most patriotic. We give more to this country than all these white people who never sign up, who are living off their granddaddy's legacy because their great-granddaddy was in the Army, their great-great-granddaddy was in the Confederate. Meaning, you can be a part of the military arm that killed more Americans than any other army in the history of this country, and still be seen as more patriotic or more loving of the flag than Black people. This is nothing different. I always make it about race because it always is about race, especially when you see money like the Heritage Foundation behind it.
I hate the name. The name's a lie. Most people would view it as good. I don't mean the definition. I just mean most people say, well, this sounds like a wonderful organization. It's not. It is tearing at the fiber of who we are supposed to be, who we're striving to be, who we've not yet become. It's moonwalking all the way back. I guess I wondered this, though, Mayor, in a country where we do have some history that's still available to us, and as you mentioned, this would disproportionately likely disenfranchise Black workers in the federal government. But I remember recent times and hearing CIA reports and the like of Kim Jong-un turning on an uncle or a top lieutenant. Don't people who are somehow radically behind this, Americans, realize that they wouldn't be safe in a dictatorship either?
Except for they would, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that, because they're willing to pledge blind loyalty to Donald Trump, which means they would be super safe and have the right to do it and get away with anything. I.e., when Trump supporters do something and Trump's in charge, he'll say that they're nice people on both sides. I'm referring to the murdering of someone in Charlottesville by neo-Nazis and Klan members, and Trump not willing to talk to denounce that behavior. So what we know is, in Trump's world, in Trump's dictatorship, if it is to be, then those people will be super safe. Unfortunate for us, there is no safety, because in Trump mind, we come from S-hole countries. We are descendant of those people, and Black people shouldn't be counting his money, as he said about his security. So people like us are under constant threat when Donald Trump and his people show up in this manner. And it's all about one thing. We should understand that. The lessening of whiteness in America, meaning the white vote power, the white people are getting less and everybody else is getting more. The rate of Black and brown people are growing while white people are decreasing. And the only way America has remained this white anyway is through the immigration policies, i.e. Chinese Exclusionary Act, i.e. the reason what they did to the Mexican with the marijuana, what they did
Wow.
to all African nations up until the 90s. You could not come here if you was from an African nation and become an American citizen. So America is as white as she is because of immigration policies. These people recognize that. So now they want to control Homeland Security, i.e. make America white again. Or whatever.
So, instead of trusting that even though numbers are dwindling and people are starting to look more like a blended society, and it's been going on for decades, and so why don't we all just get along? We're hearkening back to when those ships came, and there was some fake little story and anecdote about Thanksgiving, and then indigenous people were wiped out. You still want to go there, even though they helped you and they told you, here's how you farm off this land. Let me show you how to survive this winter. You still want to, it's not sustainable, Mayor. The only way you can sustain this is by keeping people prisoner. But even the slaves ran away, okay? They ran away. They learned to read under the cover of darkness by candlelight, whatever it was. Word spread. You can't keep people captive forever. I would think you'd want a solution to that, but then what do I know? I'm just a brown girl.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be clear that whiteness is a sickness and also a dumbness. To buy into this idea that it is, there's been tons of studies that show it's economically, white supremacy is economically not sustainable. Yet and still, we see it growing in its maneuvering and how it try to un-Americanize so many people, anybody who is not in close proximity to whiteness or are propping up proximity to whiteness. So I'm not surprised that we're dealing with it. I would argue that we've never left this America. This is how we got back here. It's never been checked. It's never been reconciled. So we've not held people accountable who are responsible through their actions or inactions in some cases of any form of white supremacy in this country ever. And today we're in this space because of that.
I guess we started with such a deficit and then did this little civil rights, one step forward, two steps back, 3 steps back, that it feels like as long as they keep reversing course, we'll never get to this quote unquote promised land to what is our right here. I had a Republican friend, a Black man, say to me yesterday, we should be grateful, Sharon. Here in Georgia, Blacks are 32%. And I understand gratitude, Mayor, but I said, I'm not grateful. You wouldn't tell someone else, be grateful for what you got. I want what by my birthright, should be promised in this country. And I'm not going to be grateful for snacks and scraps of what you think I deserve or what others who look like me have been indoctrinated to believe we deserve. Equality is a simple formula, in my view. Now, achieving it might be difficult because of some devilish things, but can you address that? And maybe I came on too strong in my response to him.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's a great idea too. I mean, while it's important that we speak out about the federal government or this list of federal government employees who may be anti-Trump. Being anti-Trump is a crazy idea for people to look at. Folk who have dedicated their lives to work under many different presidents, and what they're doing is keeping policies in place to keep this government on its train tracks, right? But what we know though is when people are not checked, we have this level of derangement where people tell us we are obligated to be proud or respectful and to consider our critique. Neither of those. And I think that's the problem when we know the inequities that live in Georgia. I mean, Georgia is it's not the largest state in this country, but California has way less counties than Georgia. And it was to dilute the Black power. So that 32% of Black people in Georgia were designed to have less power, even though this man want to brag about it. You're a Republican friend. Yeah. And I don't know him, but I'm certain he's a good guy. But this thought pattern is a continuation of those who are willing to put their head down and say, let's go along to get along, or let's get along to go along, yes. Even if we're not even getting anything while we're going along, except for Brad.
And it's not even that, listen, you're the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina. This come as a great asset to those you serve. And it's been a great personal expense for you, but you are the mayor. So I get a workaround. I understand that you made it, quote unquote, I made it. That's not what we're talking about here. I don't think I should have to teach my daughter a workaround. I don't think I should have to do that. And that to me is the rub. It's always something where the game is changing. The rules are different for you than they are for them. And I think we have to remember that freedom, equality is a simple formula. So let's stop pretending we're asking for something radical. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. And it's true. It's also important that we know that, science says this, if this process is repeated over and over and this outcome happens, then that's not a theory anymore. That is science, right? It's proven by science, or as much as science can prove something. When there are things that happen that don't normally happen, they're called outliers. Black people being successful in America is an outlier situation.
You're right. Make it make sense. You did. I don't like it, but you did.